respect to position as well as time of the particles of the intervening medium in which the wave is propagating can be written as y of the xt equal to a sine kx minus omega t. Correct? So, physically, he informed me physically he was trying to make you people aware uh, of the phenomenon of coherence of the terminology of coherence. I should not say phenomenon and other things. So I will be discussing today those mathematically. Okay. So any doubt in this expression for wave? Now this is the case when the initial phase angle is 0 degree, right? On the phasor diagram, if the initial angle made by the phasor to the x-axis is 0 degree, then this is the expression yx equal to a sine kx minus omega t. However, if the initial phase angle made by the phasor to the x-axis is some arbitrary number phi radian, then the expression for wave will be yx equal to a sine kx minus omega t plus phi, and this is for a wave which is traveling in the positive x-axis direction, positive direction of x-axis. Now, if the wave is traveling in the other way or other direction in opposite direction like the negative direction of x-axis, why these people are coming so late? Huh? In that case, in the negative direction, the expression for wave can be written as yx equal to a sin kx minus omega t plus phi. Okay, yx equal to a sin kx plus omega t plus phi. This is the expression for wave when the wave is traveling in the negative x-axis. So, by using this mathematical expression of these waves, we will be discussing a phenomenon called principle of superposition. Okay. Before discussing the principles of superposition, let me tell you what is superposition. Superposition is nothing but the mixing of two things, right? Just laying down one thing over another thing. Superposition means laying down one thing over another thing, and in case of wave mechanics or wave optics, you can say. So, when two waves propagate in a certain direction, that may be in the same direction or opposite direction, when two waves propagate in a certain direction, then one wave used to superimpose or superpose with the another wave, and that phenomenon is called superposition of waves. But that superposition does happen as per certain rules and regulations. Okay, that superposition does happen as per certain rules and regulations. Those rules and regulations we'll be discussing today, and those are called principles of superposition. Fine. Now consider two waves. One is psi 1 equals to a1 sine kx minus omega t plus phi 1, and psi 2 equal to a2 sine kx minus omega t plus phi 2. These are two waves, component waves, which are traveling in almost same direction. Almost same direction. There may be little deviation, but consider them to be traveling on almost same direction. Now you should notice two things over this expression. One thing is that these waves are having different amplitudes a1 and a2, and different phase angles, initial phase angles phi 1 and phi 2. The first one was is having maximum amplitude of a1 and initial phase angle of phi 1. The second one is having maximum amplitude of a2 and initial phase angle phi 2. This is one thing you need to notice. The second thing you need to notice is that both these waves are having same frequency and wave number, where k is the frequency and omega is the wave number. And you can notice that both these waves are having same frequency and wave numbers. Now you may ask why we are considering like this. This is just for the sake of simplicity. Okay, sake of simplicity in the mathematics, you can consider different values of uh, wave number also, different values of frequency also, angular frequency also. But for the sake of simplicity, we are considering this to be same, so that the mathematics will be quite simpler. Otherwise, it's not like that. In other case, it will they will not superpose, they will superpose. But the thing is that the mathematics of those processes, that phenomenon will be little difficult, little complicated. Okay, that's why we are just assuming that their wave number and frequencies are similar. And if Dr. Johari would have discussed the for coherent nature of wave, for coherency between two waves, their frequency must be equal. Okay, if their frequencies are not equal and wave numbers are not equal, then you cannot make them coherent in any way. This is the first condition for them to be coherent. If their frequencies are not equal, okay, if the frequencies of the two waves and wave numbers of the two waves are not equal, then you can never be able to make them coherent. Okay, so for coherency between two waves, the frequency and wave number must be equal. Delta omega and delta k must be equal to g. Now, if these two waves are going to superpose with each other, am I audible? Things are going fine.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
yes,
sir.
yes,
Yes,
you're
yes,
clear.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Fine. Thank you. Now, if both the waves are going to superpose, then we have to add them mathematically. Okay. So after superposition, you will get another thing. I'm not saying whether that is wave or something else. After superposition, you will get another thing. Let's try to see what is that thing. When you will do superposition, when you will do mathematical addition between these two waves, psi one and psi two, then after some little bit of mathematical manipulation by using some trigonometric formulas like sine kx, sine c plus d, sine c minus d, like that, you will ended off in an expression which looks like this: psi equals to a sine kx minus omega t plus phi. Psi equals to a sine kx minus omega t plus phi. When you will do some mathematics, some using some trigonometric identities, you will end up with an expression similar to this: a sine kx minus omega t plus phi. Not similar to this, exactly this. Okay, where this a is called the amplitude of the resultant wave, or you may say the resultant amplitude. Where a is the amplitude of the resultant wave, or you may say the resultant amplitude, whose expression can be written as this: a equal to a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cosine of the phi 2 minus phi 1 of the square root over, right? A equals to a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cosine of the phi 2 minus phi 1 of the square root. This is the expression for resultant amplitude, or this is the expression for amplitude of the resultant wave, which is getting generated by the superposition of these two component waves. And what is phi? Phi is nothing but phi 2 minus phi 1. Okay, phi is nothing but the phi 2 minus phi 1 is called the phase difference between these two waves. Okay, now in this resultant, and we are more interested in the amplitude. Okay, we are more interested in the amplitude. Now in this expression of resultant amplitude, the last portion 2a1 a2 cos phi 2 minus phi 1 is called as the interference term, and this is the term which is going to decide how your amplitude is going to vary. Okay, this is the term which is going to decide what will be your resultant amplitude, because when two waves are propagating over free space or over any medium, their phase angles used to change depending upon the path traversed. Okay, their phase angles used to change depending upon the path traversed, and all other things are going to remain constant, because a1 is a constant, that's a simple number, a2 is also a constant, and who is varying over here? Phi 2 minus phi 1, because if they are traveling with a certain angle with in between them, one will be traveling a different path than the other, then at certain point and certain position there must be a phase difference between them. So the phase difference is going to change over time and position. So depending upon the change in the phase difference between these two waves, the total amplitude will be changing. The total amplitude or resultant amplitude of the resultant wave is going to be decided by the change in this phase angle, change in the difference in of the phase angles phi 2 minus phi 1 with respect to position as well as time. That's why this term 2a1 a2 cos phi 2 minus phi 1 is called the interference term, because this is going to decide where you are going to get a destructive interference and where you are going to get a constructive interference. We'll be discussing those things in detail later on. Okay. Now, these superpositions are of two types. One is called coherent superposition, one is called incoherent superposition. In one case, it is called coherent superposition. In another case, it is called incoherent superposition. And mind it, for coherent superposition, the first condition is that the frequencies and wave numbers of the component wave must be equal. If they are not equal, whatever may be their phase difference, they can never be made coherent. They cannot never be said coherent. Their frequency and wave number must be constant. Now let's discuss in detail about these two kind of superposition. Now coherent superposition is a condition or is a kind of superposition when the phase difference phi 2 minus phi 1 remain constant over over position and time. When two waves when two waves traveling in a certain direction used to maintain their phase difference, maintain their initial phase difference phi 2 minus phi 1. Maintain means it may have certain value pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, or pi by 2 or anything, but that difference pi 2 minus pi 1 should remain constant over space and time. And when this condition happens, we say that the two waves are superposing with each other in a coherent way. That kind of superposition is called coherent superposition. When the superposition is happening, and at the time of happening, if the phase difference between these two waves are remaining constant, that's is remaining constant, then that kind of superposition is coherent superposition. Now I said constant, it can have any value, right? I said constant, it can have any value. Now when the phase difference between these two waves is an integral multiple of 2 pi. It can happen, right? At some certain position and certain time, it can happen, it can so happen that the phase difference between these two waves is an integral multiple of 2 pi. Either it is 0 or plus minus 2 pi, plus minus 4 pi, etc. Okay. And if this is the case, at those positions in time, at those positions in time, cos of the phi 2 minus phi 1 will be equal to 1, right? Now, if of the phi 2 minus phi 1 is equal to 1, then from this expression, the expression can be represented a square, resultant square equal to a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 into a2. What is that? That is nothing but a1 plus a2 of the whole square. Okay. So a square equal to a1 plus a2 of the whole square. So a can be written as a1 plus a2. So if the phase difference between the two waves are constant, also they are having a value which is an integral multiple of 2 pi, then cos of the phi 2 minus phi 1 will be equal to 1, and the resultant amplitude can be written as a equals to a1 plus a2. This is the resultant amplitude. Now, how to get intensity from amplitude? Because amplitude is two-way thing. Like there are positive amplitude also, negative amplitude also. Okay, that is not measurable. I mean, we don't measure amplitude. We always measure intensity in any practical devices, right? So, how to get intensity from the amplitude? It's proportional to square of the amplitude, right? The intensity is equal to square of the amplitude a1 plus a2 of the whole square, right? So the intensity in this case will be equal to a1 plus a2 of the whole square, and this is the maximum possible value that the intensity can attain. This is the maximum possible value the intensity can happen. I can obtain. Okay, that's why it is written that it is I maximum equal to a1 plus a2 of the whole square. Okay, now if From starting itself, if the amplitudes of the individual waves or component waves are same, that is A1 equals to A2 equal to A, then this can be written as I maximum equal to 4 of the S square. This I maximum can be written as I maximum equal to 4 of the S square. This shows that when a coherent superposition happens between two waves of equal intensities or equal amplitude, when a coherent superposition happens between waves of two waves of equal amplitude, then the amplitude of the resultant wave or the intensity of the resultant waves becomes four times the intensity of the individual waves, right? What was the intensity of individual wave? I equal to S square. Intensity of individual wave is equal to S square. Any of the one. And what is the intensity of the resultant wave? That is equal to 4S square. So when coherent superposition happens between two waves of equal amplitude, the intensity, resultant intensity will be equal to four times of the individual intensity. This is a conclusion from this discussion. Now, if there are
Sir,
yes, yes, please,
we have denoted amplitude by A1, A2. Now it should be I1, I2.
yeah,
It's creating confusion that Imax equal to I1 plus I2 should be something. Yeah.
is this expression wrong?
Sir, I said we have denoted amplitude with A1 and A2. Na?
Yes, fine.
So for intensity,
Yeah, we can
for
write in that.
intensity we should use I1, I2.
I can write in that way also. But is it wrong? It's not wrong, right? I'm trying to write. See, when it is when you are trying to write in terms of intensity, you cannot write I1 plus I2 of the whole square. You cannot write that. Got it? Though we always measure intensity, we always used to measure intensity rather than amplitude. But while writing, we always or while doing mathematics, we always do it the amplitude because we have to look after the direction also. That is more important when you are doing the superposition and all. Because that is more I mean to say more fundamental than intensity. Intensity is not a fundamental quantity, that is measurable, but amplitude is more fundamental. Yes, I can write in that way.
Sir,
The
in terms of equality, we can use proportional sign. It's better to use proportional sign.
I made my measurements. Made my measurements. I made my setup in such a way that proportionality constant is equal to one. Is there any problem with that?
No,
No,
sir.
sir. Fine,
No,
sir.
sir.
That's fine. That's fine, right? I can make my area unity, time unity, everything. I can do that. Correct. So since that is a proportionality constant, that can have any constant value, I am not bothering about that. Okay, what I am bothering about is the physics of this phenomenon. And about the intensity formula, I can write this in terms of intensity. I maximum can be written as square root of I1 plus square root of I2 plus twice of the square root of I1 into I2 or twice of the square root of I1 into square root of I2. There you cannot write I maximum equal to I1 root plus I2 I1 plus I2 of the whole square. That's not correct. Okay, you can write in that way in terms of intensity. But here I am trying to write the resultant intensity only. Okay, I am trying to write down the resultant intensity in terms of individual intensity. Okay, in terms of resultant amplitude. So if you want to write here I maximum equal to 4 into I, that's fine. That's fine. But that is not fine here. Okay. If you want to write I maximum equal to 4I, that's okay. I can write it. But this is not wrong. This is fine. Okay. Anything else, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, if there are n such waves traveling in a certain direction and they are superposing with each other, if n such waves traveling in a certain direction and they are superposing with each other, then the total intensity of the total resultant intensity will be equal to n square of the individual intensity. Okay, that means when you are superposing coherently, the resultant intensity is going square of the number of individual intensity, square of the number into individual intensity. Okay, and this is the basic idea about laser. Laser in the sense light amplification by stimulated emission of radio, where what we do, we used to or we try to superpose n number of waves traveling in a certain direction coherently so that the total intensity will be equal to n square of the individual intensity, and out of which you tap out some power, you tap out some light out of that. Okay, so that's the basic principle of laser. So for logic operation to happen, for laser action to happen, the coherency is the most mandatory condition. If the waves which are getting emitted from the radiative recombination between the electrons and the I mean radiative recombination of not recombination, it's actually electrons used to get radiated from higher energy level to lower energy level. Okay, if those waves are not coherent with each other, if we are not making them coherent, they will not superpose with each other and you won't get laser operation to happen. Okay? For laser operation to happen, this coherency is the most mandatory condition. Okay. Now let's come to other extreme possibility. What is other extreme possibility? It may so happen that the phase difference between these two waves at certain positions and time will be an odd integral multiple of pi. Odd integral multiple of pi means plus minus pi plus minus 3 pi plus minus 5 pi like that. Okay. Now if that is the case, then the value of cos phi 2 minus phi 1 will be equal to minus 1. Okay. And if that is happening, then the resultant amplitude can be written as I equals to A1 minus A2 of the whole square. Resultant amplitude can be written as I equals to A1 minus A2, and we can write the intensity in terms of the square of the amplitude. Resultant amplitude is I minimum equal to A1 minus A2 of the whole square, and the minimum substate is because the this is the case, or this is the minimum possible value that we can have after superposing two or more waves. Okay, I minimum equal to A1 minus A2 of the whole square. There may be cases, there may be cases if it is a traveling wave, if omega 1 minus omega 2 is not equal to 0, there may be cases, that means if the frequencies of the two waves delta omega is not equal to 0, then the this phase condition may be time dependent also. Okay, for a certain position, the phase may alter with respect to time for traveling waves. Then you cannot have minimum intensity equals to a1 minus a2 of the whole square. That will be in between maximum and minimum. There may be cases where the phase angle phi 2 minus phi 1 will be taking some other values than these specified values, and in those cases you will be getting the intensity, resultant intensity in between maximum intensity and minimum intensity. Fine. uh, and in those cases the resultant wave will be a traveling wave. Here the resultant wave is a standing wave because delta omega is equal to 0, we have assumed, because omega 1 equal to omega 2 equal to omega, we have assumed wave numbers are also same. So here you will be getting standing resultant wave, but if they are not equal, the resultant wave will not be standing, that will be traveling, and if it is traveling, then the phase condition, phase difference values will be changing with respect to time at a certain point also. Here, phase condition will be changing with respect to position also only, and with respect to time it is going to remain constant. But if omega 1 equals to is not equal to omega 2, the phase condition will be different for different time also at certain position. Okay, in that case, you may get some different values also. Now, if A1 equals to A2, if A1 equals to A2 means amplitudes of the individual waves or component waves are same, then obviously the I minimum will be equal to 0. I minimum will be equal to 0. This reveals that when coherent superposition happens between two waves of equal amplitude which are in opposite phase means phi 2 minus phi 1 will be equal to plus pi plus 3 pi plus minus 3 pi plus minus pi, which are in opposite phase. Okay, this reveals that when coherent superposition happens between two waves of equal amplitude which are opposite in phase, can give zero intensity, and these regions, these areas or these points where they are going to give zero intensity satisfying this phase matching condition are called region of darkness. Okay, This forms the basis of creating a dark region. This is called shadow region in the mobile communication, even if signal is present. Even if signal is present, the resultant amplitude is zero. That's why these are called dark region in mobile application. Because when you are dealing with electromagnetic waves, when they are superposing at certain region, this destructive interference or this condition is being satisfied, those areas are called uh, dark region in mobile communication, or shadow region we used to say. Okay, now uh, let's come to the other kind of superposition. What is the other kind of superposition? Now suppose this phase difference between two waves changes randomly with respect to position as well as time. Okay, if this phase difference, not time, you just with respect to position. If the phase difference between two waves phi 2 minus phi 1 changes randomly, then what will happen? Cos phi 2 minus phi 1 can take any value between plus 1 and minus 1. Okay, when this will happen, this will happen when the frequency are either different, or the waves are traveling in a completely uh, different directions. If the waves are traveling in a completely different direction, or the wavelengths are not same, or the frequencies are not same, then the phase difference will change randomly. Okay. Now, if the phase difference is changing randomly with respect to position as well as time, then this value cos phi 2 minus phi 1 can take any value between plus 1 and minus 1 randomly. Okay. And if that is happening, then the average of this cos phi 2 minus phi 1, the average value of cos phi 2 minus phi 1 will be equal to 0. Average over time or average over position, whatever you may say. Okay. The average values of cos phi 2 minus phi 1 will be equal to 0. Okay, somewhere it is plus 1, somewhere immediately after that minus 1, immediately after that plus 0.5, immediately after that minus 0.5, like that. So the values are changing between plus 1 to minus 1 very randomly over position as well as time. Then cos phi 2 minus phi 1 average value will be equal to 0. And in that case, the interference term will be equal to 0, 2a1 a2 cos phi 1 minus phi 2. This is called equal to 0. Due to some reason, if phi 1 minus phi 2 is changing randomly, then 2a1 a2 cos phi 1 minus phi 2 will be equal to 0. And in this case, what will be the resultant intensity? The resultant intensity will be equal to I max will be equal to a1 square plus a2 square. And as per the question of that guy who was asking, now we can write I max equal to I1 plus I2. I can write that. Now I can write. Okay. So the resultant intensity will be equal to I max will be equal to a1 square plus a2 square. This is maximum value, and this is the uniformly distributed values. Okay, that means the intensity or the resultant intensity will be uniform over position, our space. Okay, you won't get any dark or bright region because of this random variation in the phase difference between these two waves. Okay, such kind of superpositions are called incoherent superposition, because the phase difference between them phi 2 minus phi 1 is not remaining constant because of any reason. It may be due to change in frequency of the individual waves, it may be due to wave number of the individual waves, it may be due to change in the different path propagation. Okay, when they are traveling in a completely different paths, then also this will happen, because the phase difference depend upon the path traveled. Okay, so in that case, if a1 equals to a2, if the amplitude of the individual waves are same, then I maximum will be equal to 2a square. I maximum will be equal to 2a square. So this signals that if the superposition between two waves is incoherent in nature, then the resultant intensity will be equal to two times of the individual intensity, and the resultant intensity will be uniform in position, in space as well as time. Okay, the resultant intensity will be uniform. And in case of incoherent superposition, there will be no dark regions, no dark regions. Only one uniform bright region will get in the space, or in on the screen. Okay, so therefore we used to say, for happening for interference to happen, superposition can be coherent or incoherent, superposition can happen. But for interference to happen, what is interference? Interference is the phenomenon in which two waves traveling in a similar direction superpose with each other in such a way that you will get dark regions, bright region, alternate dark regions and bright regions. Okay, that pattern, if you are getting that pattern, that is called interference. So for the interference to happen, you must have, or the waves must superpose with each other in a coherent way. Without coherency, you won't get an interference pattern. They may superpose with each other. You may get a resultant wave, but that peculiar pattern of interference, that is bright, dark, those fringe pattern, you won't be able to obtain without coherency. Okay. Now let me ask you a question. In case of incoherent superposition, am I audible? All of you are following me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let me ask you a question. Now in case of incoherent superposition, yeah, yes, okay. In case of incoherent superposition, if A1 equals to A2, what is the intensity, total intensity of the wave before superposition? Who is here? Okay. Please don't unmute your mic. Now, if in case of incoherent superposition, what will be the total amplitude of the what will be the total intensity of the waves before superposition? That will be equal to a square plus a square, then equal to 2a square. Right. This is the intensity of waves before superposition. Now, what is intensity of waves after superposition? Same, 2a square. Now before superposition also, intensity of the waves before superposition, total intensity of the waves, because intensity you can add scalarly. Amplitude you cannot add in a scalar way, but intensity you can add in a scalar way, scalar manner. Okay, they are numbers. So the total intensity of the waves before superposition equal to 2a square. Intensity of the waves after superposition is also 2a square. But comes to coherent superposition. In case of coherent superposition, in this case, what is the intensity if A1 equals to A2? What is the total intensity before superposition? Same, A square plus A square equals to 2A square. This is the intensity of wave before superposition. Now, what is the intensity of the resultant wave after superposition? Somewhere it
4
will
square.
be 0, somewhere it will be 4A square, right? So if I add them, then total intensity will be equal to 4A square, right? After superposition. So in case of coherent superposition, in case of incoherent superposition, the intensity of waves were 2A square before superposition, 2A square after superposition. But in case of coherent superposition, the intensity of waves before superposition was 2A square, okay, and intensity when I add the intensity of entire region, and the intensity waves after superposition is equals to 4A square, okay. So is it violating the law of conservation of energy? That means, are we creating some energy while superposing two waves? That's the question. Okay. Now, I'll put an assignment on this. Can anybody answer now?
Okay, sir.
Okay. I'll put an assignment on this. Physically, there are research papers also are there on this particular topic. But mathematically, we can prove this easily. We can prove this mathematically easily. You need to prove this mathematically. I'll put an assignment. In that assignment, two questions will be there. One is how you are arriving at this equation from this equation. Okay. The after superposition, how you are arriving at this equation from this equation. That is one question. Another question is this one, and I'll add some numericals based on this discussion. Okay. So I'll upload an assignment today. You need to answer this question there. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, so shall we move on, or any doubt? You can talk to me. Another 10 minutes are there. We'll discuss.
Fine.
Okay. Shall we move on? Okay. Now, all the basics, all the foundations for understanding the phenomenon of interference has been built, right? You guys understood what are coherent waves, what is coherency, and uh, how coherent superposition takes place, how incoherent superposition takes place, and what are the principles in which condition the coherent superposition takes place, and what are the different cases or different possible resultant intensities that we can have in coherent superposition and incoherent superposition. All we discussed. Now we are going to apply these these fundamentals or these basics in order to study the phenomenon most important or most you can say most interesting phenomenon of optics called interference. Okay, interference means I mean literal meaning of interference you might be knowing. Okay, that's just clubbing one thing with another thing. That's called interference. I mean you people used to say if I am going and approaching somebody in his personal resume or I'm trying to enter into the personal resume of somebody, then he used to say don't interfere with me. That's the literal meaning of interference and same literal meaning if you want to if you try to if you try to relate that same literal meaning with the scientific meaning of interference, both are almost equal. Okay, here also one wave is interfering with the other. That means one wave is entering to the personal business of the other and the vice versa. And that's why we used to call it this as interference. So interference when two or more waves of same frequency, let just note down this. I'm telling same frequency. Okay, when I'm saying same frequency, their frequency difference is not there. That means they are going to make a standing wave after superposition. Okay, they are not going to make a traveling wave after super. The resultant wave will be standing. Okay, and the whatever pattern you will be getting, those patterns will be constant with respect to time. They may change with respect to position, but they will be constant with respect to time when I'm saying same frequency. Okay, and if the medium is same, then obviously wave numbers will also be same from because the frequency and the wave numbers are related somehow. Okay, if the velocity is same. And when the velocity will be same, then the refractive index of the indices of the medium will be same for both the waves. Okay, so when two or more waves of the same frequency travel in approximately same direction, just note down this also. I'm saying approximately same direction. If they are traveling in a very different direction towards, they may superpose, but you may not get this condition matched at any position of space. The condition may not be satisfied, and you may not get fringe pattern. They will superpose, they will interfere, but you may not get a fringe pattern. So this condition is also required that they should travel in a similar direction in order to make this phase difference constant. When the coherency will be maintained over space, the coherency will be maintained over space when the two waves are traveling in a similar medium and almost similar direction. Whatever little path difference is there, that path difference should be constant. Okay, that's the idea. Now, if such things are happening, like such two waves are traveling in the same direction, almost same direction, and maintain a phase difference that remains constant with respect to time, maintain a phase difference that remains constant. Because if the phase difference is changing with respect to time, again you will get the interference and again you will get superposition, but the patterns whatever you are going to see, they will not be constant, they will be changing with respect to time, and that change is so fast, that change will be so fast because that will be in the range of nanosecond. The change or the fluctuation of interference field pattern will be in nanosecond. The change will be so fast that you won't be able to see any stable pattern. Okay, so for stable pattern you need to make a condition such that the phase difference is almost remain constant, and the uh, yeah, that they are not changing with respect to time also. Okay, so if these things are happening, then what you will get, the resultant intensity will not be uniform. Okay, the resultant intensity will not be distributed uniformly over space, and you will get bright dark patterns, or those are called as fringe patterns. And this phenomenon in which such two waves interfere with each other or superpose with each other to give you a fringe pattern is called the phenomenon of interference. Please note that the temporal coherence, that is phi 1 minus phi 2, must be constant. This phi 1 minus phi 2 should not depend upon time. If they are changing with respect to time, you won't be able to get a pattern. There will be pattern, but that pattern will be changing very fast. You won't be able to visualize it. Okay. Now the question arises, how to get coherent lights. Okay, you can have two lights, you can have two light source always, but you won't be able to make, you can never be able to make their frequency same. It's very difficult to make two independent sources of light, that may be LED or laser or whatever. You never be able to make two independent light source which are having same frequency, which are coherent in nature. Okay, it's difficult. Sorry, practically it's impossible to get two coherent sources independently, two independent light sources coherent. Okay, so there are certain ways to, there are certain methods to make coherent light source from a single source. What are those two methods? Basically, they are divided into two broad categories. Okay, one in which we used to split the wavefront. Okay, one method where we used to split the wavefront, one wavefront into two wavefronts, and one way, and hence one light into two light sources, and the two light sources which we are generating from one light source are or will be coherent in nature. Okay, another method is by splitting the amplitude by reflection or refraction. By reflection or refraction, we can split the amplitude and we'll get two sources which are coherent in nature. Let me give a pictorial representation of these facts. Here in the first picture, first figure, one extended light source is there. Okay. Why I'm saying extended? If it is extended, the wavefronts will be plane. That they can be considered as plane. Okay. One extended light source is there, so that extended light source is emanating wavefronts. Okay, so that when that wavefront is getting passed through a single slit over here, it will behave as another source, and that source will be emanating some wavefronts. What is wavefront? Wavefront is a surface or imaginary locus of constant phase points of a wave. A wave has different phase points. Suppose five on the wave, you you just draw a locus surface. You just draw a surface which is touching the constant phase points of the wave. Then that is called a wavefront. Okay, now these wavefronts are traveling, that they are going to travel along in this direction, and after some distance you put another screen having two slits separated by a very small distance from each other. Okay, if you are doing so, then this slit will behave as one source and this slit will behave as another source, and from these two sources again wavefronts will be emanating and traveling in the same direction. Okay, but these wavefronts or these lights or these waves will be coherent in nature. They will be having constant phase relationship between them while getting emanated. When at the time of getting emanated, they will have constant phase difference phi 2 minus phi 1. Okay, now, as they will travel over space, the phase will change. The phi 2 minus phi 1 will change, but initially the phi 2 minus phi 1 will be equal to 0, and we can consider them as both of them as coherent sources. So, this method of generating two coherent sources from a single source by dividing the wavefront, here the amplitude is not going to change. The wavefront will only will be 2. Okay, so by dividing the wavefront, it's called the is known as the method of generating two coherent sources by division of wavefront. There are certain experimental evidence for this method of generating coherent sources. One is Young's double slit experiment. You must be aware of this. This is the most famous one, where Young used to generate two coherent sources from a single source by dividing their waveform. Okay, by using two slits. So that thing you guys know already, and that's called other some examples are the Lord's mirrors, Fresnel biprism. These are some other examples where we used to divide the wavefront in order to get the uh, two coherent sources. Okay, the other method is, here is another method, the right hand side figure. In the second method, what we do, we incident a beam of light to a thin slab. This is a thin slab. ABCD is a thin slab. Okay, that slab may be of glass or any certain medium. Okay, but the condition is that the refractive index of the entire slab or entire medium must be same. Now, when you are incidenting a light in on this slab, what will happen? Some will be transmitted and some will be reflected back into the same medium. Okay, that portion which got transmitted, what will happen to that? That will travel to the other interface. This is one interface. AB is one interface separating two medium, this and this. Suppose this is air and this is glass. And CD is the another interface which is separating these two mediums, glass and air. Below is air, above is air, and middle glass slab is the, suppose that is glass. It may be water, it may be any liquid, anything. Okay, but suppose that is glass. Now, after reflection, that light will be traveling in the other way, and after interacting with the lower interface, what will happen? Some will be reflected back to the glass medium, and some will be refracted to the other side of the air medium. Okay. Now that portion which is getting reflected back into the same medium, that will eventually reach at the upper interface AB. Okay, here it will reach eventually at the upper interface AB. Now, after reaching here, again some of them will be reflected back into the glass medium and some will be refracted. Now, consider this refracted beam and this refracted beam. Consider this component of incident light and this component of light. This this component has arrived just after reflection from the upper surface. This component has arrived just after getting refracted and twice on the getting refracted twice on the upper surface and uh, and reflected once in the lower surface. Now the phase relationship between this part of light, this component of light, and this component, all these components of light which are coming into the same medium after getting reflected, those will be having same phase difference. Okay, they will be having constant phase relationship between them, and we can consider them as coherent sources. So here by the, and this process is called division of amplitude, because here some light will be refracted, some part of amplitude will be refracted, your amplitude is getting divided, and some will be reflected. So the amplitude of the first reflected light will not be equal to the second and will not be equal to third. So the amplitude will go on decaying, but the phase relationship between them is going to remain constant. Okay, so these all these are can be considered as constant phase sources. There are 5 to 6 sources, all are having same phase or constant phase relationship between them. However, their amplitude is getting divided with their number. The amplitude of the first will be highest, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, like that. And this phenomenon of obtaining two or more coherent sources by by reflection and diffraction phenomenon through a single slab of glass or liquid or any water or any medium, that's called the phenomenon of obtaining two coherent sources from a single source by division of amplitude, because here we are dividing the amplitude. Okay, so there are few examples, experimental setup or experimental things which follow this method, in which we follow this method to obtain two coherent sources, and they are Newton's ring, Michelson interferometer. In our syllabus, we will be discussing one method from this, on one experimental setup from this method of obtaining coherent sources, it's called Newton's ring, and one from the Fresnel biprism, one from the division of wavefront, which is called Fresnel biprism. These are the two things we are going to discuss in our subsequent classes. Okay, this is how we discuss how to generate two coherent sources from single source. So it's time now. Sia, who is Sia?
Yes, sir.
Can
Yes,
you,
sir.
can you
It's
okay? Can you
starting.
take the attendance? Yeah, can you take the attendance and can you please?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please take attendance. I'm there. Please, everybody be there. Let's here to take attendance and